Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So today is Tuesday, November 28th, and I thought it's been a while since a ton of stuff went down, and I thought might as well make a video about it, kind of update anyone and everyone who wants to know. So without further ado, I'm just going to dive right in because it's kind of a long story. So basically, I had colitis, ulcerative colitis, for almost 5 years, and basically, if you don't know what it is, Google it because it'll explain it so much better than I will. Honestly, if I had the whole hour to talk, I would tell you exactly what it is and how it affects your body, but I'll just give you like a brief little thing on it. So basically, it's an autoimmune disease that takes over a lot of your body. It mainly hits your colon and your intestines and causes bleeding and ulcers and within that, which yes, I know is kind of gross. Trust me, I know. Basically, it's a horrible disease and it honestly has no cure. I was on Remicade for a while, which were injections that I would do. I would go to the doctors and I would get an injection for multiple hours a day. It could have been like 4, could have been 9. It really just depends on how fast they were moving that day and how busy they were, honestly. That helped for quite a while. I did that pretty much every 8 weeks and I felt some remission, and it was really nice because honestly, colitis just makes you feel crappy all the time. You can't sleep well, you're constantly tossing and turning, you're in pain in your abdomen, you're bleeding, you're weak, you're pale. It just has so many negative things connected to it, the disease, so obviously it's gonna be horrible. I just couldn't handle it. I was in high school and I was trying to just live my normal life, and it was really hard. I mean, try having anxiety and depression and then adding a disease on top. It sucked. But I pushed through and I had Remicade, which yes, it put me in remission for a while. It was nice. I kind of got my life back. I was still going to the bathroom a lot, which is a big part of colitis. It's probably the biggest part, and it was embarrassing. It takes up most of your day. So that was another thing that really sucked about it. But yeah, so Remicade did really well until it stopped working. My body stopped responding to it, which was a bummer because I finally felt some relief and normal again. But then we said, okay, let's try Humira. And if you haven't seen commercials for Humira, which I'm assuming most of you have, you just haven't realized it, it's an injection as well, but you do it at home. And it's a lot more painful, and it's just a quick injection. It's not like over a couple of hours. You just either do it in your thigh or your stomach. So my fiance James, he would do the injections for me, and they were really painful, and that also did work for a while. Unfortunately, Humira was really expensive. It was thousands and thousands of dollars a month. And my family, we're a big family, we're very blessed with what we have, but we could in no way afford that, honestly. There's no way. So thankfully, we applied for a program that would help assist with the payments, and I got in. So I had a whole year free of Humira, and that year I kind of went through remission again, which was nice, but it was not nearly as good as when I was on Remicade. I was like, okay, this is better than what it was before, so I'll stick with it. After going on Humira for a year, I was like, this is not doing very much, and being off of Humira, I feel fine. I feel honestly better than I did with Humira. I did have flare-ups every now and then off of any medication, but it makes sense. I wasn't on any medication. I just wanted to test my body. Bad idea. Very bad idea. Don't do that. I just wanted to see how long I can go without having any medication. Because honestly, I didn't think I was going to get approved for Humira for free again. And I didn't. I did go for another program eventually, but I mean, it would just seem too good to be true. And I was just sick of doing the shots and sick of still feeling all the time. So after a few months of being off of Humira, it was by this time maybe like February or March, and my doctor said, you know, maybe we should try Remicade again, but I don't know. Like, they were just trying to figure out the options, and eventually said, okay, a few months later, let's see how you are, and then we'll decide from there. A few months later, all right, Taylor, you need to go back on Humira. It's what we have to do. It's what's best for your body. as much as I hated it, I applied for a new program and thankfully got a phone call while I was at work one day that I got approved. It wasn't free, but it was $5 a month, which I could pay no problem, thankfully. And so I was really excited, even though I hated Humira. I was like, okay, I know Humira will make me feel better than how I'm feeling now, because I started to go downhill because I pushed my body like you're not supposed to do. So then I started Humira, and about a few weeks later in July, I started feeling sick still, just really, really sick. My body was starting to shut down. Things were just not going right. Blood, losing blood, all of that, going to the bathroom a ton of times. It was just horrible. I knew something was wrong. So my GI said, okay, just keep doing Humira for a few weeks. We'll have you get all these blood tests and all that stuff. Have you come in, we'll check it out and see how that goes. So we go camping at the end of July around my fiance's birthday, and I felt horrible. I had to rush to the bathroom in the morning as soon as I woke up. Through the day, I had to rush to the bathroom, which was horrible because if the bathrooms that were close by down the hill were used, then I had to go to the ones down by the pool, which were gross, dark, and scary. I ended up having to leave a night early. We went home. I was not feeling well, rushing to the bathroom multiple times that night, and I just knew there was such a good reason for me going home because that night was so much worse. And eventually, throughout the next couple of weeks into like mid-August, I was just not feeling well. But I had to push through. I was working and the new school year was to start soon. So I finished off the summer relatively strong, and I'm gonna get emotional talking about this. But we had meetings before the school year with all the teachers and faculty and all that, and I was really excited. I was with people who I genuinely love and care about. I knew that God had an amazing class planned out for us, and I love my job. I love teaching kids, and I love learning how to be a better teacher. And with the partner I have and with the people around me that I have, my coworkers and my bosses and everything, I just knew this was going to be an amazing year. Little did I know that I would be admitted to the hospital on the first day of school. This semester was supposed to be the semester that I went back to school, even just 1 or 2 classes, and I was so excited about it. You don't understand. I was telling so many people, I'm so excited for school to start. My class is gonna be great. I'm so excited to meet them and their families, and I truly genuinely was. And unfortunately, my body just wasn't ready for that, I guess. And so the first day of school, I worked until 11:45. My actual class ends at noon, and I didn't even make it to noon. I ended up going home, and after rushing to the bathroom multiple times that morning, and was later admitted to the hospital. When I went to the hospital, they ran a ton of tests. They gave me pain medication. They ruled out other things and did colonoscopies or endoscopies and all that stuff. And I was there for a couple of days with no answers other than inflammation, which is so what colitis is. So duh, I could have said that. I could have told you that. And basically, as time went on in that hospital, I just felt worse and worse. Most of the time there, I was crying in pain, begging for medication or something to help me feel better. And really on the inside, all I wanted was answers. Like, I just wanted to know, like, why is this getting worse? And why isn't it improving, you know? I was on tons of steroids and medications to kind of lessen the pain and help with the inflammation. Went home, didn't go back to work because I was still not well. And when I was at home, I don't even know how long it was. Like 2 weeks or something? I'm not quite sure. Honestly, a lot of this is a blur. I just remember being in bed the whole time, just crying in pain. Sorry. It was horrible. I felt my whole body was shutting down. I was constantly going to the bathroom. I wasn't eating a thing. I actually dropped 20 pounds in like that whole month span of being in the hospital and being home. And I knew something was really, really off. So we went to the ER one day, a different hospital than my actual hospital, and they ended up giving me pain meds in my right arm and in my left arm, and I started feeling like really off. I'm not even exactly sure what the pain meds what they were, but I just knew something was off about it because I started feeling like woozy, and they wanted me to drink this sort of like yogurty type drink to numb the pain inside. And first of all they were doing was shooting me with pain meds to kind of help the problem right then instead of helping the problem later on, which was a little disappointing. But anyway, that's usually what they do. And they were trying to get me to drink this drink, and they kept trying to put it on my lips and give it to me, but I told them, I said, no, I don't feel right. They were sitting me up in my bed. I was like, no, I don't feel right. Something is wrong. And then I blacked out. I just remember waking up to my room filled with doctors or nurses, and my fiance rubbing my chest really hard, and doctors or nurses just surrounding me and pumping air into my lungs because I had stopped breathing. And then they were breathing for me, pretty much. And it was terrifying, honestly. I didn't know what had happened. All I knew is that I was gone and back. And so I would start to come back, and I guess I would start to fade again and stop breathing, and then I would come back and then fade again. And it was just constant, like, trying to find out, like, when can they stop breathing for me, and when will I be able to breathe for myself. And I just remember actually finally waking up, everybody leaving, 20 minutes later them sending me home after the scariest experience of my life. They sent me home. How does that make sense? Who knows? But basically, we went home, still in pain, got a prescription for, I think, Norco. Went home, took those, and I think that might have been a Sunday or Monday night. And the next day I noticed, the next evening, my stomach felt weird, but I thought, okay, well, it's just because I'm bloated, I haven't been eating, or maybe I'm going to start my period, who knows, whatever. There's so many reasons you can be bloated, right? And so the next day comes, and I think that was a Tuesday, and we finally got a hold of my GI. Let me tell you, getting a hold of my GI was so hard. And when I did, he would tell me to take Tylenol. And I was like, Tylenol? Tylenol doesn't even help my baby headaches. How do you expect that to help this excruciating pain that I'm feeling inside of me? I was on tons of medication to help the inflammation, tons of medication to help the pain. Nothing, and I literally mean nothing, was working. So Tuesday evening, I believe, came around, and we finally get a hold of my doctor. I had been messaging him on the app. I had been calling him and leaving messages with his assistants or nurses or whatever. Finally, he calls us, and my dad talks to him because I have zero energy and I'm in excruciating pain, crying. Pretty much spent a month of my life in bed crying in pain. So my dad talks to him, and I said, I just had brought up, you know, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's going on, I feel this, I feel that. And so my dad would relay the message to my doctor while they're talking on the phone, and then I said, and my stomach feels like it's getting really big, like I feel like I look pregnant. And I obviously was not pregnant, but he told my doctor, and my doctor said, oh, when did that start happening? And I said, oh, like yesterday, honestly, after the ER. And he goes, that's not good, you know, that can be a sign of toxic megacolon. And I'm like, what? Toxic what? And honestly, didn't know. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if I had something majorly wrong, because y'all are just hopping me up on drugs and expecting it to take the pain and everything else away, when it's not even taking the pain away. And so he said, okay, well, can you get to a hospital? Surgery might be your best bet, or we need to figure out what's going on or whatever. And I said, let's do surgery. Let's just get it over with. Not knowing exactly what surgery was, just thinking it might be the answer of getting rid of all this pain. And so he said, okay, go to the ER at whatever hospital and you need to have it looked at. The next day comes around, and we were going to go to Stanford, the Stanford hospital, because we thought maybe we would have better chance of them giving us more attention that way instead of a county hospital. I don't really know the exact reason. So we were gonna drive to Stanford, but I was in so much pain there was no way I was gonna make it all the way to Stanford Hospital. And so they take me back and they do all these things and test my stool and give me pain medicine and blood tests and all that stuff and CT scans and whatever. They do a CT scan, come back to find that and x-rays and all that show that I was really inflamed and that my colon, there was all this stuff wrong with it, and I already knew that, but it was just far worse than we knew or what we thought. And so my doctor, after hours and hours and hours of me sitting in this tiny closet-sized room with my parents and my fiance, my doctor finally comes. I'm screaming and crying in the dark. They're not letting me eat or drink anything. I'm in pain. They're constantly shooting me up with pain medication. This medicine, this medicine, this medicine. Going back and forth trying to find out which one will take the pain away for the longest amount of time. My doctor comes back and sees me crying and screaming in pain. He has results from the blood test. He has all this stuff. And he's like, this is one of the most inflamed colons I have ever seen. And he said, this is the numbers. And I remember my dad like getting really emotional. And for my dad, that's like very rare. So I didn't know what the results were, but I knew it must have been bad. So they immediately took me upstairs to a different floor, and that's where I was gonna stay for the night. And I stayed in that room. They moved me to a different room the next day after just hopping me up on drugs all night. And basically from there I was in pain for days, hopped up on major steroids to try to get the inflammation down. They waited a few days before talking about surgery just because they wanted to see if they can get the inflammation down in my colon without going in and just removing the whole thing. A surgeon came in one day and said, you know, we have to do surgery. Your inflammation's not going down. Let's talk surgery. And I said, okay, let's talk about it. And we did. He gave me the options of what's gonna happen, the risks, everything. And honestly, I don't remember a lot of the conversation, except for the fact that there's 1% infertility. Like there's 1% chance that I'll be infertile, which was honestly my main concern. And so basically I had two options. One, we do one surgery and I have an ileostomy or an ostomy bag forever. And the other one was to do 2 or 3 surgeries and remove the colon, create a stoma and have a bag. And then a second surgery to make a J pouch that will act as my rectum and still have a bag. And then the third surgery to reattach the stoma to the J pouch and no longer have a bag. And that's the one I went with. We thought the surgery was going to be on a Friday, I believe, but he came in and said like a day or two early, like, how do you feel about having surgery today? And again, my family got super emotional and I said, let's do it. I was nervous, honestly. I didn't know what to expect. There was so much going on and so much pain. I was just ready to be out of it. Okay, I'm back and I apologize if it's all out of whack, like the background and the angle. I had to pick up the camera and move it and take the battery out and change the memory card, so I apologize if everything is just all over the place. So I'm just going to pick up where I left off. So basically my family came and visited me and before I went into surgery, and they got me all ready to go, and they started rolling me on down. And what I had with me was my Christmas pillow, my stuffed animal from my grandma, and I was listening to music. I was listening to one song in particular, which was Nicole Nordeman's song Sound of Surviving. And if you haven't heard that song, I highly suggest listening to it, whether you're going through something hard or not. It's a really good song. So I was listening to that on the way, went to the elevator, and then went on over to the surgery floor. And I just remember them saying, okay, like, we're gonna give you this thing called something something champagne. That's what they just called it. It wasn't actually called that. That's just what they called it. And I was like, okay. And it's They're like, it's gonna make you feel a little weird, and that's what it's supposed to do. I was like, all right, let's do this thing, whatever. So we went back to the room and they had me lean forward. They put an epidural in me. That's all I remember, except for talking a little bit. And I don't even know what I talked about. I just remember like the act of talking. So I guess what I did say was like, this is the best I've felt in 5 years, which doesn't surprise me because I have been feeling off and on horrible for the past 5 years. And I guess I said that to a nurse or the surgeon, I'm not sure. But yeah, surgery went well. I woke up in a room with other people in it, but like sectioned off by curtains, I guess. And so I don't really remember a whole lot of this, but I kind of remember a woman coughing and me like asking if she was okay or something and like wanting to give her a cough drop. I don't know. And I heard someone say like to a patient like, oh, you're gonna go home, who's your ride? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, did we all have our colons removed? Are we all going home today? And I guess I asked the nurse that and she laughed and was like, no, or something. And then I remember my collarbones being sore and they were like, okay, well, we'll give you medicine for the pain and like, let's subside that. It's not common to have your collarbones hurting after surgery. It's just some weird thing that happened to me, I guess, I don't know. And so went back, saw my family. I guess they asked me who the president was, and in a very snarky voice, I said, Trump. I apparently was very upset about that question being asked. And anyway, she asked me what day it was. I had no idea what day it was because I had been there for so long at the hospital that I honestly didn't know. And from there on out, recovery was really hard. I had about 21 staples in my stomach, which, yes, is really gross, and an ostomy or ileostomy bag. It's really bad that I don't know which one I have. I just don't quite know the difference. I refused to look at my stomach for the first couple of days because I'm not good with that kind of stuff. It grosses me out. And I was there for about a week after my surgery recovering. I had a really, really sweet roommate named Ida, who is one of the sweetest people that I've met. So she was recovering and luckily she was up and walking a lot, and so she had a lot more energy to do that. Unfortunately, I didn't walk for a few days after my surgery. I just wasn't ready and I wasn't eating. I didn't have an appetite for many, many days. So in the total span of that hospital stay, I lost 20 more pounds. So if that's adding up at all, I lost 40 pounds total. I wasn't tiny, like thin, skinny size 2, but like for my height and stuff, like it was just very skinny and gross in my eyes. My bones were poking out on my legs, like my shins and stuff. My arms were just really frail and tiny and weird on me. It just felt weird. I don't know. Recovery was really hard. It was brutal. It was a lot of, you know, you need to sit up, you need to get out of bed, like let's try standing up. And I was constantly tired and I had been through all this weight loss and like laying in bed for so long that I forgot really how to do all those things. I kind of had to relearn how to walk, and not that I necessarily forgot, but my body did. And I just felt really discouraged, like my body was completely failing me. One of the most humbling experiences of my life was this whole time, like of constantly needing people to do things for me. We came home and it was hard. Part of me wanted to go home, but part of me also didn't think I was ready. When they took that epidural out, it was hard. I didn't have that button of medication every time I needed it. It was IV medicine, and then we switched to pain pills, and it was like trying to get that under control. And at home, it was the same thing. Like, we had a sheet, and my parents kept all the medication in a box and marked every time I took a medication, so that I wouldn't take it too close to each other, that I never forgot to take a pill. I started tapering off the steroid, thank God, because the steroids suck. If you've ever been on prednisone, you know it sucks so much. But yeah, being home and needing help in the middle of the night to get out of bed to go pee was so hard. I just felt like a burden. I couldn't open the Gatorade bottles. I couldn't walk down the stairs on my own. There is so much I couldn't do by myself. And it just made me so thankful that I have like a really good support group that's there backing me up. And not getting frustrated when I needed that help. This whole situation, this whole thing, I was not prepared for. I didn't think, okay, this is what it's gonna be like after surgery. I had no time to research. And that was really hard for me because I like to know ahead of time, like, what's gonna happen. So it was kind of like I was thrown into this new lifestyle with no information about what it was gonna be like. And since then, my life has been such a turn. There were times when I was ready to just end my life because it's been so difficult. But I'm so thankful that I never, ever, ever had a thought to actually end my life. I never had the idea to do something to harm myself. It was just, okay, God, take me. So it's been hard, and that's obvious. But I'm here today. And I'm going to have another surgery relatively soon. The date was supposed to be for December 13th, but it's getting switched around apparently, which is also very hard. Once you have a schedule and it's like, oh, this works perfectly with this, this, and this. And so now I have no idea when my next surgery is going to be. But I get married in May. So I need to have the next 2 surgeries done before then with enough time to get back to normal. After the 3rd surgery, it is going to be about a hard year, is what my doctor keeps saying. So who knows what that means, but I'm hopeful. And there's got to be a light at the end of this super long and dark tunnel. And I know that God's got my back this whole time because I wouldn't be here if he didn't. I have to say thank you to my family and my friends, my co-workers, my littles, my fiance, because I would not be here if it were not for them. Life has completely changed over the past couple of months, and as hard as it's been, I'm hoping that in the future I will say that this has been the best decision of my life. Now it's still hard and I'm still adjusting, but I know God's got a plan. And whatever his plan is, I have to trust that he's got my back. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions, just put them down below and I will be more than happy to answer them. I will be vlogging my next surgery, so look out for those, and hopefully vlogging more and more as time goes on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.